Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex Stephenson from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod, your weekly video podcast for completely custom Magic the Gathering sets based on movies, TV shows, books, all sorts of different fiction entertainment. I haven't done nonfiction yet. That would be kind of crazy. I could actually look into that. But for now, there's plenty of fiction to do. So this week, classic movie from my childhood, remade in the last... God, I don't know, 5 to 8 years. I'm not sure when the remake was, but Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So this movie originally came out in 1971, and it was based on a book written by Roald Dahl, and maybe you're familiar with him. He also wrote like Matilda, and which also became a movie, worthy of noting. But yeah, Roald Dahl was a very interesting writer, to say the least. Very creative, and I fell in love with this movie when I saw it as a kid. And it's the amazing thing about it is how old of a movie it is, and it's still so amazing. Like 1971 that's a very old movie at this point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking like 44 years ago now. This movie came out, and it still holds up. Like I can still watch this movie, still get into it, still enjoy it. Now I should say, there was the Johnny Depp remake, of course, and I went to theaters and I saw it, and I was pretty disappointed. From what I understand, that one, the Johnny Depp one, was closer to the actual book. I guess they used more information from the book and made it more closely related to that. But I got to tell you, I was pretty bummed out in the theaters watching that. The music, I felt, was very much inferior. The acting wasn't really there, I thought. I just wasn't that entertained, and ultimately I was disappointed with the remake. I will concede that kids watching it maybe had a great time. Visually it had some cool stuff going on, and maybe the music appealed to kids, and I'm just too old to appreciate it now. But if you have not seen the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder, please, I'm begging you to go watch it. It is such a fantastic, awesome movie, and it's just so enjoyable. You get to see an amazing chocolate factory with all sorts of magical stuff going on, and I really think you'll dig it. So let's get into the custom magic set here. I didn't do every character in the movie, and I didn't do every magical object. I only did 12 cards, but I did cover all of the children, of course Willy Wonka, and some of the various magical objects that are in his chocolate factory. So starting off, we have Charlie Bucket Jubilant. So this is Charlie right when he gets the golden ticket. As if you'll recall from the story, a contest is going on where 5 people across the world will open a chocolate bar that they've bought, and it'll have a golden ticket in it. And if you've acquired the golden ticket, you actually get a tour of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and no one's ever allowed in there before because he's afraid of people stealing his secrets. So it's it's very significant in this story. And Charlie comes from a very poor family, so this is a big deal for him. And he happens to only buy, I believe, like 2 or 3 chocolate bars, and manages to find a golden ticket. So very lucky. And he is, of course, very ecstatic about that. So Charlie Bucket Jubilant is 1 colorless and 2 white for a 3/3 vigilance human creature. It's a rare. And whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Charlie Bucket Jubilant gets +1/+1 and gains lifelink until end of turn. So I usually use lifelink in my custom magic sets to signify like loving life, loving what they're doing. I just feel like it sort of fits with that. And then his flavor text is the last line on the golden ticket, which reads, "In your wildest dreams, you could not imagine the marvelous surprises that await you." And it's a very true statement. So next we have Augustus Gloop, the glutton. Now he's actually the first to get a golden ticket from a chocolate bar. And he is, as the name suggests, a glutton. So he's one colorless, a red, and a green for a 2/3 legendary human creature, a rare. He has the mechanic of the set, which is called Brat. And Brat is whenever this creature attacks, gain control of target non-creature artifact, defending player controls until end of turn. Untap that artifact. So the kids are very disobedient, as you might expect kids to be. And they're all sort of spoiled, brattish children. So they tend to steal and break things within this factory. Just no appreciation for, the work that goes into that stuff. So you'll see later the cycle of artifacts that I've made to sort of coincide with this mechanic. Augustus's other ability is sacrifice a land, you gain 1 life. And then his flavor text is, "Augustus, sweetheart, save some room for later." So that's his mom, Mrs. Gloop. And he hails from Germany. I think it's kind of why he's got the long sock with the short look going. That might have just been a 70s thing as well. But yeah, sacrifice the land, you gain 1 life. So vaguely reminiscent of Zurin Orb, the old artifact. But definitely supposed to suggest that he's eating your lands to help you gain life, of course. So yeah, the Brat mechanic, I just basically thought whenever they're attacking, they're stealing an artifact they're not supposed to have, and then you can use it. So kind of a cool mechanic, certainly not busted, and sometimes worthless. I mean, if your opponent doesn't have an artifact, but within the context of this custom set, it does make sense. Next, we have Violet Beauregard, Gum Chewer. She's the second child to win, the contest, get a golden ticket. So she's 1 colorless, a blue, and a red for a 2/2 rare human legend. She also has the Brat mechanic, and whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, untap Violet Beauregard Gum Chewer, it gets +0/+3 until end of turn. And then her flavor text is, "I chew it all day except at mealtimes when I stick it behind my ear." And that's, of course, her being interviewed after she's won the contest. So you can see in the picture that she's starting to swell up like a balloon. This was in both versions of the movie, both the 71 and the new one. She chews something that was still in a test phase, so she basically just grabs it out of Wonka's hand, hence her being a brat, and just eats it, even though Willy Wonka tells her that that could be dangerous, and she starts to swell up big. So that's sort of what her triggered ability is supposed to represent. You're activating the ability of an artifact, and it's something she shouldn't be activating. So she gets +0/+3 and swells up like a balloon, and you untap her, which is pretty good. So it's actually kind of a good defensive triggered ability. Next we have Veruca Salt, Spoiled Child. Oh, this is the child that you just love to hate in this movie. So just a very spoiled child, always getting what she wants from her rich father, just very obnoxious. So Veruca Salt, Spoiled Child, also the third child to get a golden ticket. 1 colorless, a black, and a red for a 3/2 rare legendary human creature. She also has the Brat mechanic, of course. And whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, its controller loses 2 life. And that's supposed to be like she's taking it or commenting about it. And it's just making you tiresome. And her flavor text is, "I want the world, I want the whole world." And this is, of course, a line from her famous song when they're in the geese that lay the golden eggs little department of Willy Wonka's factory. So very cool song too. I recommend YouTubing that. It's a pretty good one. Shows you the mind of a spoiled child. Okay, moving on. We have Mike TV, Pesky and Loud. So TV, interestingly enough, not the television, but spelled out. So I always thought that was interesting. So Mike TV, Pesky and Loud is one colorless, a red and a white for a 3/2 legendary human creature, also a rare. You can see the cycle that I made here is starting with Augustus. They're all the brat creatures are red X. So Augustus is red green, Violet's red blue, Veruca is black red, and Mike TV is red white. So all of the colors encompassed amongst the brat creatures rather. And Mike TV, of course, has Brat, and then he also has Mike TV, Pesky and Loud can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So that's just him being all stubborn. They can't even get his attention away from the TV, even talking to him about his contest. So he very much is a little pesky brat. And his flavor text is the interviewer trying to talk to him about the contest that he's just won while he's watching TV. He can't even be distracted from his TV during an interview. And the interviewer says, "You like the killings, huh?" And Mike says, "What do you think life's all about?" So a little twisted, definitely. Next we have Willy Wonka the Eccentric, and this is Gene Wilder. Probably, it's got to be one of his best performances of all time. Just magnificently done. So interesting and strange and funny. So Willy Wonka the Eccentric is 2 blue and 2 red for the only mythic of the set, a legendary human creature. He has hexproof, and whenever Willy Wonka the Eccentric deals damage, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So that's a little bit similar, kind of similar to Niv Mizzet. And then a blue and a red tap. Willy Wonka the Eccentric deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Activate this ability only if you control an artifact. So theoretically, if you control an artifact, you can deal 2 damage to any target and then draw a card, discard a card. And he's got hexproof, so he's got a bunch of abilities mashed up together. But I of course wanted to make Willy Wonka very good, since he's in the title line of the movie and it's his factory, and he's awesome in the movie. So his flavor text is: this is right when the children are about to enter the factory for the first time. They're all standing in front. This is going to be such an exciting day. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will. And it just is a little bit telling of how he sort of knows how this day is going to turn out. He has an idea in mind how these kids are going to be acting. Next we have Oompa Loompa. So the Oompa Loompas in this movie in particular have orange skin and green hair and white eyebrows. They're just very strange looking little people that do various work around the factory. And Willy Wonka in this movie apparently rescued them from all sorts of strange creatures with weird names. But the Oompa Loompa in this set is 1 colorless, a green and a blue for an uncommon Oompa Loompa creature. I couldn't think of any other type of creature. I couldn't think of a creature type that actually pertained in Magic that would work for this type of Oompa Loompa, so I gave it its own creature type. And its activated ability is a green and a blue tap. Untap target artifact you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. So this is sort of your little protection against brat ability, since the Oompa Loompas are sort of the workers there, protecting the various artifacts around the factory from children destroying them. And then the flavor text is: a Wang Doodle would eat 10 of them for breakfast and think nothing of it. So I know you're thinking what a Wang Doodle is. This is apparently one of the various creatures that are in Loompa Land, the Oompa Loompa homeland. Very interesting, I know. Next we have the Chocolate Riverboat. So this is this is actually a pretty crazy, creepy scene in retrospect, and I definitely urge you to go back and watch that if you've never seen that scene. But the Chocolate Riverboat. So within the factory, of course, they visit a chocolate river. Willy Wonka has this awesome chocolate waterfall, chocolate river, and he has a boat that can traverse the chocolate river. And the Chocolate River boat is the first of a cycle of artifacts within this custom Magic set. So 1 colorless and a black. It's an uncommon cycle of artifacts, and there's 1 for each color. And the Chocolate River boat activated ability of 2 and a black tap. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains Intimidate until end of turn. So I know you're thinking, like, how does that relate to the riverboat? Well, when they go inside, so they're on the river, the Chocolate River, and they go inside of a tunnel, this crazy psychedelic creepy scene happens where Willy Wonka just starts like going off on a tangent, and you can see a little bit of the I've taken a little excerpt of a speech he says in that tunnel. Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes. And that's a little snippet of what Willy Wonka says. I won't spoil any more. So I definitely recommend at least looking up that scene because it's very creepy, and it should definitely creep you out. It creeped me out as a kid, definitely. But yes, he definitely gets very intimidating in the tunnel. And then as soon as the tunnel ride's over, everything's normal again. So it's just a really strange scene. Next, we have the Everlasting Gobstopper. So one of Willy Wonka's competitors, Slugworth, once basically enlists all of the children to steal one of these Everlasting Gobstoppers from the factory. And supposedly the Everlasting Gobstopper is a candy that you can suck it and suck it and suck it, and it never gets any smaller. So it's like an infinite piece of candy, which is a very interesting concept. So in this, it's an artifact. It's one colorless and a red. And then 2 colorless and a red. Tap is the activated ability. Tap target creature you control and target creature of an opponent's choice he or she controls. Those creatures fight each other. So it does allow you to fight every turn. It is essentially the exact ability on the card Arena. I definitely thought it would be too powerful if you could control both sides of the fight, but I didn't think it was too powerful if each player, if you can fight every turn. So if you have the biggest creature, you can still, use it as removal against your opponent's creatures. But what's cool is, you know, certain board states it's not overpowered for sure, since both players are sort of in control of which creatures are fighting. And maybe you're thinking, why would an Everlasting Gobstopper, involve with fighting? But key scene is Veruca and Violet are arguing when they're getting their Gobstoppers from Willy Wonka, and I think Veruca says, "Hey, she's got 2. I want another one." And then Violet says, "Stop squawking, you twit." So it's the fact that Slugworth enlisted them sort of makes them fight with each other. So it's a very divisive little piece of candy. It makes them want to fight to get that money, $10,000 reward from Slugworth. Next, we have the Lickable Wallpaper. This is the green artifact of the cycle. 1 in a green uncommon artifact, and then 2 in a green tap. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And then, of course, the flavor text. The snozberries taste like snozberries. And Willy Wonka says that. Snozberries, of course, not being real, but very interesting nonetheless. And then we see a return of that line in Super Troopers, which is a movie I enjoy, and possible custom Magic set around the corner. A little spoiler alert on that. Next, we have the Fizzy Lifting Drink. So this is the one part of the movie where Charlie and Grandpa Joe steal from the factory, and the only time they're actually disobedient. So Willy Wonka presents them in the fizzy lifting drink room, but he tells them that they're not quite ready yet. They're just a bit too strong, and they need to be controlled a little bit. But Grandpa Joe convinces Charlie that they want to try them anyway. So when the rest of the group moves on, Charlie and Grandpa Joe stay back and drink the fizzy lifting drink. In this, it's the blue artifact of the cycle. So 1 in a blue, and then 2 in a blue, tap as the activated ability. Up to 2 target creatures you control gain flying until end of turn. Very straightforward. The flavor text is Willy Wonka's line about the fizzy lifting drinks. Fizzy lifting drinks. They fill you with gas, and the gas is so terrifically lifting that it lifts you right off the ground like a balloon. And that's exactly what happens. They, of course, have a little close encounter. I won't talk about that too much anymore. Still, definitely a powerful limited card. Giving 2 creatures flying every turn would be very good. Next, we have the Wonka Wash. So this is 1 colorless and a white. It's the white and final card of the set. and it's 2 and a white, tap, exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. You gain 2 life. So when they ride on it, it spits out all sorts of like bubbles and makes them all like frothy and completely covered in like soapy water. And then they go through this sort of like squeegee effect and they're all clean. So that's definitely what I wanted to have this card sort of show. And the flavor text is Hasa Wakano. And then that's what Willy Wonka says. And then Mike TV's mom says, "Is that Japanese?" And then Willy Wonka says, "No, that's Wonka Wash spelled backwards." So always a trickster. Very funny. And that is the final card of the set. And I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, I just got to recommend, check out that movie if you have not seen it. It is a wonderful, classic masterpiece. If you have small children, I assure you they'll love it. I would much prefer you show that one than show the Johnny Depp one. Even though the Johnny Depp one supposedly does more justice to the book, I think the 1971 movie is just more magical, more touching. Maybe I just watched it at that time in my life where it meant more to me. I could see that being possible, but I've rewatched it as a grown-up and it still holds up. It's still a magnificent movie. So definitely recommend it. Hope you enjoyed that set. Also hope you're enjoying the drafts. We'll see you next week.